All right, what is going on, everybody on YouTube? Griffin here, just coming back to you guys with another live stream, and we'll just kind of dive right in. I'm actually in the process of finally winding some things down for the evening. I actually got a video about what I got pulled up here coming out for you guys later this week. By the way, we'll probably dive into that a little bit because I'm sure we will go over our overall Google Ads update, amongst other things, I'm sure. So, first and foremost, if you're tuning in for the first time, be it either live or after, the stream goes from a stream to a video. We try to do these every week for you guys. If you don't know who I am, of course, my name is Griffin Thomas. I own a pest control company in the Dallas, Texas area, Preferred Pest Management. We've been in business for what, man, 3.5 years already, or not quite 3.5, but in our fourth year, let's just put it that way. And on this channel, I just document my overall entrepreneur journey for you guys, not just the business, pest control business specifically, but that's kind of the stage of life we are in right now in terms of our entrepreneurial journey. If you hear me cough or my voice sounds a little hoarse like occasionally, the allergies down here have been horrible too. We've been in like the 80s out of nowhere. We're supposed to hit like 90 at some point this week. It's been a crazy February. And if you're new to me as well and just wondering, what's the point of these streams, I come here, like I said, I try to do these every week for you guys, scheduling and life permitting, of course, just to kind of answer, any of your all's questions. I tend to get questions, throughout the week. Some of them, of course, are repetitive, but I still at least try to answer them just because I feel like, of course, if people are asking them, then, they may have not have seen other content where, I've answered those before. So you can never ask a dumb question or anything. No question is a dumb question, I mean. So if you have any questions, of course, shout them out in the chat, shout them out on Discord, Facebook. We have groups that you can join for free, which are in my link tree in the description box as well. And with that, I say we already have some questions in the chat as well as I believe on Discord. So I'm getting Discord comments and, the chat pulled up on my end just that way. We'll have something to go off of and we'll just kind of dive right in. So I will take a look first and foremost at our YouTube chat to see what we got here. So earlier today, King Matt asked, that's another thing with these live streams, by the way, with me scheduling them, at least for the most part. Once they are scheduled, you guys can actually hop in here where it says, notify me, whatever the case may be. It'll say, what date and time we're going live. You guys can actually hop in the chat before the live and post any of your questions. So if you think, oh man, I'm not going to make it at that time, but you have a question that you want answered, feel free to hop in the chat and go ahead and post that. It just makes, getting the stream going quicker and all of that. Something that even I just found out today. So it's pretty cool. King Matt asks, in case if I'm not on stream, can you walk through your service process from getting out of the truck? How are you able to deal with customers with frequent cobwebs? Do you spray the eaves or granulate every service? So when you say cobwebs, so since you mentioned eaves, I'm assuming you mean the webbing along the eaves, which of course is a very common thing that some companies will try to pitch customers on, like, oh, we're gonna knock all that down for you, this and that. I will say, to think that you're never ever gonna have a cobweb or webbing whatsoever nest, like, go ahead and get that damn thing muted. Things like, what am I trying to refer to right now? Kind of sidetracked at the moment. Go ahead and shut this iPad off. That way it's not blowing up whole stream. When it comes to like wasp nests, cobwebbing, things of that nature, you're never going to 100% get rid of them, if that makes sense. That's why I tell people too. I'm like, the whole thing with pest control at the end of the day is it's called pest control for a reason. It's not pest elimination, it's pest control, pest management, right? Like we're managing and controlling these populations first and foremost. Thing number two is, most chemicals out here, we talk about microencapsulated chemicals from time to time on the channel when we're talking about different products that we can use. Microencapsulated chemicals do work the best, however, they're not bulletproof, right? Um, you know, I use, for example, a combination of those type of chemicals. The one I like the most being, of course, Lambda 9.7 CS, which is pretty much demand CS, just half the cost. And then the other one being Onslaught Fast Cap, which is a lot more expensive, but man, does it work really good. I will tell you guys straight up that Onslaught Fast Cap is by far the best product when it comes to spiders, in my opinion. It works great on scorpions too. Very, very good on scorpions. But chemical treating, and even like you mentioned, you know, mess with the eaves or spraying the eaves, this and that and the other. One, I try to stay away from spraying eaves. Now, if I run into a home, because I live right off of a lake, it's called Lake Ray Hubbard, in the Dallas, Texas area, specifically Rockwall, Texas. And we get a lot of customers who the first time we go out there for the initial, covered in webbing. When there's that type of situation, then I will try within reason. It has to be perfect weather conditions. Like if it's windy at all, like no, that's just out. If there's really any kind of breeze at all, I'm not doing it. I do have a little visor that I'll use regardless, even if I'm spraying eaves or not, because these microencapsulated chemicals, that's another thing. You get them on your skin, especially on your face, it burns like crazy. So I suggest if you're going to use microencapsulated chemicals, definitely get some kind of face visor. For some reason, I noticed with those chemicals specifically, as the day goes on, your face and eyelids, and just even when you think you didn't get it on you, any type of drift or anything, it still manages. All it takes is just a couple little microns of droplets, and it's a not so good evening for you. But my whole point, getting back to the point about how do you deal with them, like I said, I mean, if possible, if it's a situation where, like you said, they have them pretty bad, then at that point we will. Now, obviously, we're not shooting up 2 stories or anything, but we'll try, within the label, right, to hit some of the eaves and things of that nature. And then, of course, just a old-fashioned Webster pole, right? Usually what we'll do is we'll go around first with the Webster pole. That way, we're hitting it while everything's dry, because last thing you want to do is spray the eave, and then you're literally just smearing that wet, webby stuff all over, and it just makes the eaves look absolutely dirty. A little tip there. But yeah, I mean, that's really all you can do. To your point on granulars, like, one, they don't do anything for spiders. I mean, I guess they do from the standpoint of, granulars get rid of other insects, and spiders feed on insects. So, we do granulate a majority of our services. Usually, if we're not going to granulate a service, it'll be the winter service. Again, though, it's going to vary based on your area. I live, of course, in an area where pest activity is pretty common all year round, just about. So that's why I said if, keyword there, if. Like this year, it's been so warm throughout winter, I've granulated pretty much all year. And then, the previous 2 winters, I took 1 quarter to not granulate. And I even changed up my chemical over winter, the past 2 winters, because, there wasn't nearly as much pest activity. But this year, the pest activity really has not calmed down much at all. We did have a brief period for about 2 to 4 weeks of, not a lot of activity, but, the whole point being, you're not going to necessarily, like, that's where, again, part of your sales process should be, just setting those expectations up front. That way, the customer isn't going to be pissed off, right? That's how we have maintained a straight up 5-star. You go and pull up Preferred Pest Management online and look at our Google page. You will not see anything below a 5-star rating, because, do we lose potential customers because we're not telling them what they want to hear potentially? Of course. I mean, I can't tell you, for every probably 2 customers we probably get 1 that we probably could have got, but because we told them the truth, they didn't like the truth. regardless of how you package it at the end of the day. You know, people want to be told what they want to be told, and sometimes, you know, they're just not the customer for you either. So that's a whole nother aspect of it. But hopefully that kind of helps. Oh yeah, you said just kind of, so yeah, to walk you through just like an average service for us, and I'll even do, since you know we're talking about spiders and cobwebbing, things of that specifically, I'll walk you through like an average like spider client, we'll call them. Getting these allergies tonight. Sorry about that. Not the best drink either, of course. Pure sugar. Just trying to get rid of them from our Super Bowl party. Um, so yeah, what we'll do is of course you roll up, you know, do your usual stuff. And then, like I said, we're going to use either Onslaught Fast Cap, 1 ounce per gallon in the backpack sprayer, or, like I said, Lambda 9.7 CS. Again, we'll usually do that at clean out rate. I forget what the clean out is. I want to say it's like roughly 1/2 ounce per gallon, just ballpark, like 0.4 to 0.6, something like that. Ounces, well, maybe 0.8. Either way, you know, whatever the clean out rate is, we'll do that. For either one of those two. Like I said, usually Onslaught Fast Cap is our go-to to get it under control, and then we'll go over to Lambda 9.7 CS once we've noticed a pattern that, you know, of consistently dropping spider activity. Once we get to a point where we're like, man, like this is really good, then, you know, we'll go ahead and switch over to Lambda 9.7 CS. Usually after about 2 or 3 treatments, you're good to go to switch over from our experience. So we use that for our liquid. Like I said, we're going to use our granular every time. And we'll even, in some rare cases, pull out the old Delta dust, or any type of dust really. But Delta dust has been what I've been using forever. I heard there's another one. I think one of you guys mentioned it recently. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but I have a lot of Delta dust still, so that's what we will use in some rare situations where there's a lot of voids. If it's an older home with a lot of, you know, shifting, because down here in Texas, the dirt is shit and homes are constantly shifting, which creates gaps and things like that. In that case, we may even pull out the old bulb duster and, you know, dust those cracks and crevices right. And like I said, you know, before you even do anything, take your old Webster pole out and just go to town. I mean, those houses, I've had some where it's taken a whole 20-25 minutes to completely. I mean, I've even had some take over half an hour. Now we're talking like 5,000 plus square foot homes, like mansions at this point. But even on a standard like 2 to 4,000 square foot home, I've had some take every bit of 20 minutes or so on that initial service, just getting all of that webbing under control, and even to the point where I've had to like change the Webster head altogether after that service because it was just so much. And then, like I said, go ahead with the rest of your treatment from there. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we would do in that case. So, like I said, hopefully that helps. Very lengthy response, I know, but like I said, hopefully it helps. Let's see. Hey Griffin, I just got kicked off my business. Oh, I just got kicked off my business. Oh, I think you meant like you're just getting started. Okay, awesome. Received my license in the mail, starting out with my business with only a rodent license. As a side hustle, do you think Google Business Profile will be enough to generate customers? Sorry, typo. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Google Business Profile, it's a form of SEO, right? So it's not going to be something you're just going to start getting leads from day one. Now, it depends on where your location is. If you are located in the heart of a neighborhood with a couple hundred, couple thousand homes, then it won't take you very long to at least start maybe getting some neighbors that maybe are like on the opposite side of the neighborhood of you, right? Because, you know, even when you're brand new, as long as you verified everything, your phone number, your website, you know, Google's like, okay, this is a legit business. You're going to rank very well within about half a mile roughly of your, you know, your main address. So again, depending on where the location is, you might start receiving a couple calls here and there per month. But like I said, like any form of SEO, it's a longer term game. With Google local SEO specifically, the quicker you can start getting consistent reviews. You know, doing the daily or weekly, whatever schedule you get on, post where you're going in there and posting updates, taking advantage of those, putting keywords and things of that nature. Everything we talk about on the channel when it comes to the Google Business Profile, right? You do that day in, day out, and stack up those reviews more importantly than anything. And again, not just a bunch of reviews at once, you know, one review a week should be, you know, your goal in the beginning. If I can get one review per week on average, you know, that within, once you hit 10, 20 reviews, you're going to start to notice whenever you run your local Falcon or Bright Local, whatever tool you want to use to check your ranking. You'll start noticing within probably a 3-month period, give or take, 3 to 6 months, you'll start noticing those dots start turning green, broader and broader out. And again, it depends on, even with that being said, it still depends on your location, because if your location is in the middle of nowhere, I don't care if you're ranking well within a 10-mile radius, you're not going to get that many calls just because you have to have homes and businesses around you, right? So there's a lot of variables that go into the Google Business Profile. I don't want to say just yes or no. I would lean towards yes, of course. Like I said, as long as you're in a good spot in terms of your location and you already kind of have all your practices ready to go. You have some kind of post scheduler like Loomly or something of that nature, where every day, ideally, you'll have a post going out on your Google Business Profile. You have photos, not stock photos, of course. You have photos that you're going to be posting at least once a month at the minimum. Photos aren't nearly as important, but ideally at least once every few weeks to a month. Get some photos posted. Of course, like we said, get reviews consistently, and you'll start to notice, probably, again, if you have a good location, you'll notice the calls start coming in. In the prime of this last season, last spring and summer, we were even getting upwards of, it was something like 20 to 40 calls. I think one month we hit like 40 calls in a month. So, yeah, I mean, you can definitely get a good amount of business from your, and by the way, our location's not perfect either. We got a lake that is literally 2 miles across right to the east of us that takes up what's equivalent to hundreds of thousands of people that we can't target. And that's why we're going to be getting an office again soon. Let's see. Man, these allergies. Let's see. I was going Tropical Fruit Loops, doing some push-ups in the basement. That's what I'm talking about. I need to get back in the gym. It's been like 2 or 3 days. Let's see. How's it going, JVJ? Good evening. If I have no termite, rodent experience, nor bedbug experience, became a pest supervisor my first year. Oh yeah, I remember that. Got stuck on residential. That's right. Any place I can get some sort of those training. Me personally, when it came to the termite, I actually paid one of my buddies who I worked at a big national company with. He also has his own pest control business. He started, I think, 2 or 3 years before me. I hit him up and was like, hey, you know, I'll pay you. I forget what I paid him, something like $100, $200. I don't remember what I paid him now. It's been, you know, 3+ years now. But I gave him some money and I was like, hey, you know, would you mind just swinging by? Luckily, it worked out. He was already in the same area, McKinney, Texas. I do remember that. It was in McKinney, Texas. And I was like, hey, would you mind just swinging by? Like, you know, I get the gist, right? I'm sure you've done the same thing, JVJ. Like, I watched a bunch of videos, obviously read the books, this and that, but there's nothing like real life experience, right? And I sold the job, and, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I'll give you some money. Like, can you come over here and just kind of walk me through it, right? Like, I'll do the service, but just kind of like, you know, walk me through it essentially, how you would do this and, you know, what to look out for, this and that. And thankfully, he was a full open book to me. You know, he was like, yeah, you know, if you had this happen in here, you would do this, you would drill here. Since there's no issue here, I wouldn't drill here personally because it was like a nice, very nice stone patio set up in the back. And he was like, yeah, like me personally, what I'll do is I'll warranty this still, but I don't want to drill it. And, unless if they tell me they're okay with it. And, he was very good, like mentor in terms of that. I learned more from that first service than I learned from like all the, I don't even know how many I've done at this point. More than any of those combined just off that first service. So if you can find somebody, or even at the company you work at, if you can somehow manage to tag along with them, even for just, like I said, one job, like you'll be amazed in the termite side. And same with the bed bug. Bed bug even more so. It's even easier, in my opinion, because it's very straightforward. If you can literally just ride along with somebody or tag along with that side of the company that you currently work at for just like one day or one service or whatever the case may be, that is the best experience. At least in my opinion, I'm a more hands-on, right then and there learner. Like I feel like you can only learn so much out of a book, out of a podcast, out of even a video. Videos did help a lot, don't get me wrong. But nothing beats, that real life application at the end of the day. So hopefully that helps answer that question. And like I said, same thing applies to bedbug as well. Flowzone makes a telescoping pole. I saw that, yeah. Reduces drift, but still never perfect spider result. Webster is, yeah, exactly. The Webster pole is going to be your best friend when it comes to it. And then, of course, like I said, just kind of using a good product. That's one thing I didn't mention too, is when it comes to spiders, I focus specifically on making sure that, we're getting out a good distance. Obviously, you can only go in Texas, I think it's like 3 feet out from the foundation, unless if you have your lawn and ornamental license, which, by the way, new development. Your boy just ordered this, and man, shout out to Texas A&M AgriLife. They overnight this shit to me when I only paid for the standard shipping. Got my book to get the lawn and ornamental license because I got tired of losing out on clients. I lost another client this past week, $115 a month client who's been with us for almost 4 years, pretty much since day one. And she was like, love the service, nothing wrong with you whatsoever. It's just we need someone that can do all of it. And this guy, can do all of it. And I even told her, I was like, what if I, do this? And I was like, I can have that license by the end of March. And she was like, well, we already signed the contract. She'd feel, it puts her in an awkward position, right? So I was like, never again will I lose I mean, she's not the first one either. I've lost probably about half a dozen clients over the last couple years. Not to mention all of the leads who were like, do you do the lawn as well? Oh, okay. Well, I need someone that can do both. They move on. I just got to a point, that was the last one, the last straw on the camel's back, where I was just like, never again is this going to happen. I'm going to study for that, get that. But back to a point on spiders, since you can only spray out about 3 feet, at least here in Texas, I think even per the label, but I know here in Texas it's like 3 feet that you can spray out. So I focus specifically on, okay, let's make sure we're getting this full coverage versus just, maybe a foot up, foot out, or 2 foot up, 2 foot out, whatever the case may be. And I noticed the further we spray out, along with, again, using Onslaught Fast Cap, that along with Webster Pole, it's a deadly duo for sure. Let's see. Thanks for answering that. Acquiring a small company. Many of the accounts are monthly. I've seen bi-monthly. I've been seeing many companies in other areas lean toward core. Yeah. And let's see. Most people I encounter don't like to see webs. Yeah, and I mean, I do have a handful of clients who they are on monthly service. I have some who are on bi-monthly as well, but I do have some, like I said, the ones that are like off the lake, like, the lake is in their backyard, those are monthly accounts. They just don't really have a choice. We've tried stretching it out and even just to buy monthly, and the difference is like night and day. So sometimes, if the conditions are there for, prime spider activity, you just got to do what you got to do at the end of the day, right? Don't necessarily, force it in terms of, oh, we only want to do quarterly. I mean, I got a mix of everything. Quarterly is the bread and butter big majority, probably at least 80, 70, 80% of our business. But like I said, you know, we take a common sense approach to it. Like what's going to be best for the customer at the end of the day, because what's best for the customer is also going to be the best for us, right? I network with other business owners when picking up at the chemical warehouse. Maybe you could find a mentor there for termite JVJ. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, like I was kind of mentioning, you know, if you can find someone, or like I said, while you're still working at the company you're working for, it may be hard, especially if I remember right, JVJ, you're in like a management role. It might be hard to kind of like not blow your cover, right? You know, if you're just kind of out of the blue, hey, can I roll with bedbug? And then like a week later, hey, can I roll with termite? Like they may, you know, catch on pretty quickly, right? I'm loading up some of our comments from Discord to see. Incognito Drew asked, anyone here ever quoted a storage facility trying to figure out best way to price initial and recurring service? And the bug dude actually responded to him and said, price it by time to service. I generally stick to 120 to 150 per hour plus whatever, you know, equipment product is needed. Which that's, yeah, I mean that's a good way about doing it as well. I know I quoted one, like a national one in I think Saxe, Texas. I think it was like Cube Smart or something like that. A newer location they opened up. It was big. It was like, man, like 4 or 5 stories. They wanted rodent stations on every floor inside and around the outside. That was just, I think that was kind of the same one. This one was like just for rodent stations only. I forget how I priced that off the top of my head. I think I didn't necessarily do it in terms of like an hourly rate. What I did was is I calculated, okay, how much is it gonna cost? Like I called up my supplier and everything. I was like, how much would it cost me to get this many stations? And you know, I forget because this is about like 2 years ago now. He told me the price, and then I factored in, okay, if I put, because you know, you're not gonna fill up those stations on the first service. At least I don't. Whenever we're just more so monitoring and prevention, I'm not filling up the stations completely full. I'll usually, if we're using like contract blocks, which are those bigger blocks where it's like roughly 2 per bar, right? What I'll do is I'll put one on each bar because the easy clean stations come with, you know, 2 bars so you can put bait on. I'll put one on each bar. So, you know, I factored in, okay, if we're going to use this much bait, we're going to use roughly a whole, I don't think it was quite a whole, but about a whole pallet of the bait. Um, you know, pretty much like I said, just factored in all the costs to get started and then what I expected the cost going forward to be. And then I factored in, because like I always tell you guys, I think about future employees, right? How much is it going to cost to get an employee out here, pay him, and then of course the company make money. And that was how I added that up at the end of the day. And that is probably why, in all honesty, we do not get very many of those quote unquote bigger contracts, because at the end of the day, I'm not willing to, you know, A, not pay an employee well, or B, the company not really make any money off of it just to add to my top line. It does no good to me, at least in my opinion. It does no good to add to your top line if you're not adding to your bottom at the end of the day. That's just my opinion as a business owner. So hopefully that kind of helps. Let's see. And if y'all are wondering what I'm looking at, like I said, I got our Discord chat pulled up. Which, by the way, if you're not in our Discord group chat, totally free to join. Link is in the description box of all videos, specifically under my LinkTree link specifically. Let's see. Seeing if there's any other questions here. Y'all were chatting a lot. Someone was asking about mosquito services. Do you use a fogger, flow zone? I've used both, as most of you guys know. I prefer to use my flow zone with those new tips that have a much broader spraying than your traditional tips that they come with. That I need to do a video on that still for you guys. I need to get that pumped out here this spring once we get mosquito season off and rolling. Yeah, it's mostly just a bunch of chat in Discord, which I love to see. Love to see as we get, I don't even know how many people we got in this chat now. Oh, we're almost right at 300. We're at like, what, 290? It looks like 290 or 285. Looks like 285. We're getting close to 300 people in Discord, so it's cool to see that group continue to grow, and you know, you guys communicate with each other up in there. Let's see. What is the average rate in Texas for homes for monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly for general pest? For us personally, if a home is on monthly service, it's usually the cheapest, right? Because there's no callbacks, things of that nature. I want to say my lowest monthly account for general pest specifically is like 69 a month, maybe 65. I know for a fact I got a 69. I don't know if I have a 65, but usually right around 69, and then plus tax. And then I have some that are monthly that are as high as, you know, 125, 150. It of course just depends on you know, square footage of the home, the customer, you know, there's obviously variables. Bi-monthly, you know, in terms of a month-to-month rate, it's usually bare minimum 55 a month, bare minimum. And then I would say my average is probably around like 60, 65 a month. So, you know, about 120-ish per service. And then, or 110, I guess, 110 to 130, somewhere around there. And again, you know, that's kind of the median. That's not the highest low. That's kind of the median. And then quarterly, of course, we'll do it as low as 35 a month, which is, you know, right around 105. And we'll go as high as, you know, 60 to 70 a month if we need to. Again, just depends on a lot. Let's see. Do you ever go in the attic to dust or put granulars? I know some insurance don't cover that. Not really, in all honesty. There's never really a need to do so. Now, if there is a really strange carpenter ant situation, this is where I will make an exception. If there's a really strange carpenter ant situation, which I've only ran into twice ever, in my, how long have I been in this industry now? Shit, already like 7 years. Wow. In my 7 years of doing this, I've only had to do it twice. I'll take some, what's it called? Advanced carpenter ant granular bait, if I recall, is the name of it. I'll take that stinky shit up there, because man, that shit stinks. Ugh, I don't know what they put in it, but to make it stink like that, but my God. I'll take that up there and, you know, shake some in the area. That's if like a all else fails situation. Like I said, I mean, 2 times in 7 years. Like, it's not something that I do really at all. But that's the one exception that I would make. But no, I've never once put dust in the attic. I pretty much stay out of the attic unless if it's rodent related. Let's see, which tips do you use for mosquito? Yeah, let me get that pulled up here. Go in here real quick. Flow zone tips. So let's see if I can find it. This new tip lineup, the T-Jet nozzle lineup specifically. They have different kinds. The tip I think the one I use is actually the red one, come to think of it. Let me see. And I was about to say, I'm not gonna beg to get into your website. Let's see. I was trying to see if they had the other tips in here, because they're all relatively the same. But like I said, this one here, if I recall, is the one that I use. What happens is you can take this little part off right here, and then that little red piece, the actual tip itself, can come out. And then there's like, I think 3 different ones. There's like a yellow one, the red one, I think there's a green one. I forget the color, and I forget the exact, you know, what the numbers in terms of 110 degrees and all of that. are, but if I recall, that red one is the one that I use. If I remember right, when I tried using the other ones, my pressure was acting very strange, so I was like, let's like go ahead and leave this alone. But yeah, that's what we use um, for that side of it. What is your average price of a rodent exclusion job? Whew, that's about to go up. Let me tell you, I just did one yesterday for what was it, $1,750, and man, kick my ass. Which I would say that's about the average, to be honest. My average right now with inflation and everything has gone up to about probably $1,500 to $1,700. Our average job when we first started was probably around 12 to 1,500. You know, of course, like I said, with inflation and everything. And another thing we started doing too is every vent has to be covered now. I used to give people options and shit, and anymore I'm like, no, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it the full 9 yards. No, you know, you can leave this off. You can, like, I'm like, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it all because, you know, we offer a warranty on the work, and a lot of times people think that means guarantees no rodents, and I'm like, no, if you want to guarantee no rodents, then we need to do everything. And it just caused some friction occasionally with some customers, and that's where I just finally was like, you know, if we're gonna do this shit, we're just gonna do it all. And speaking of which, the guy I was telling you all about the termite job, I just talked to him yesterday about it as well. He's like, I sent him a picture of you know, some soffit fascia we patched up, and he was like, why'd you do the fascia? Like, was it chewed out or like damaged? I was like, no, but you know, a squirrel could easily chew that shit up and chew a hole right in. So, you know, I'm getting ahead of it, right? So, since we're doing all of that too, on top of the fact that, you know, inflation has just raised prices of shit, yeah, our average price has definitely gone up for sure. I just quoted one Thursday for what was it, $2,900. Um, so yeah, I mean the average is definitely closer to like 2,000 now, I would say. And like I said, there's a good chance that price is probably gonna go up 10%, sometime within the next year. So yeah. I mean, you don't want to price yourself out either. Like, you know, you'll find a price sheet that works great for you, and then from there, you know, every job is different, right? I look at the pitch of the roof. Do the shingles look like shit? Is it really steep, or does it look like a really easy one? Like, the easier it is, obviously the less the price. The harder it looks like it's gonna be, just in terms of, you know, all the schematics of the service, then of course the more the price is gonna be. So yeah. Let's see. Wow, a lot higher than mine than here. I've only worked for a small company and have compared with others. I can't say how, but I do have a pricing sheet of a rent-to-kill company here, and also much lower. Yeah, no, I mean, I still remember to this day when I was working for Big T. The one that sticks out with me the most is there was this home that was about 1,500 square foot. Never even met the customer. They never responded to text. I mean, they might have responded like once ever in the like 3 to 4 years I was at Terminix. But like that's how easy of a customer was. Didn't even have a fence anywhere around the house. Just easiest home you could imagine. Perfect square. I mean, even me, I was pulling I never like to pull hose. I was pulling the hose around the property just because how quick and easy you're in and out in like 10 minutes, and that's taking your time. That customer was being charged $209 a quarter plus tax. And I looked, there was no, you know, because they have their bundles like we all do. There was no pest and termite, pest and, you know, rodent, or no bundles, just pest control alone. And I was like, oh my God, like they're getting away with charge. And it wasn't just that one, that's just the one that always stuck out with me the most. Because in all honesty, I felt like that customer was getting fucked. If I ever got to see that customer face to face, I was gonna tell him, if I'm you, I'm demanding a price decrease. Just because, to me, that's just unethical at that point. But at least that's just me. That's how I feel. Now, there's a lot of people that will say, hey, you know, it's all about what the customer, how much the customer values it. You know, there's a whole argument to be made when it comes to pricing. It's just, to me, I wouldn't feel good about selling it at that price, I should say. But yeah, no, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's plenty of companies down here, like I talk to prospects on a daily basis about. I'm like, if you're looking for the cheapest company, you called the wrong one. We're definitely not the cheapest, but this is literally the line that I say to all of them. We're definitely not the cheapest, but we are the best. If you wanted the best, you got the right number. If you wanted the cheapest, you got the wrong one, unfortunately. And more times than not, that's where the conversation ends. But there are some who they did think that they wanted the cheapest, and then just by having that confidence, not sounding arrogant while saying it, but just by having that confidence of, you know, our price is our price because we are the best, we use the best products, this and that and the other, they're like, you know what, like, I can respect that. Like, you know, let's set something up. You know, sometimes we just sell them on a one time or whatever the case may be. But you know, you'll gain people's respect as well for just, you know, sticking to your guns on your pricing. Let's see. I'm done pricing based on the market. I price based on my needs. Yeah, I mean, that's another way to put it. Because, yeah, I mean, you got to factor in at the end of the day. Like, I always, like I mentioned to you guys, I've even mentioned it once or twice already in this stream. You always got to think about the future. What does the future hold for you? For you, it may be, it's just going to be me. I want to make a good living, not have to, you know, answer to anybody, which is a joke, by the way, because you're answering to your customers still at the end of the day. But, um, you know, you have to think about, if you're like me, which a lot of you have a similar mindset, I know, as me, where you're planning on having employees. And you got to think about not just how much do I want to pay a technician, how much am I going to pay a salesman? How much am I going to pay HR? How much am I going to pay this? Like, there's so much that goes into it that a lot of people just think very short term about, you know, I can do a quarterly service for $69, and, you know, I only got $5 in product that I'm using, and, you know, maybe $5 in gas at the most, and, you know what, 30 minutes of my time, or whatever the case may be, right? And man, like, I'm making, you know, after taxes, 40 to $50, right? Um, just horrible, short-minded, like, short-term mindset that some people have when it comes to that. Like, okay, you have, let's call it on the high end, $50, which $19, you're not factoring in enough for taxes either. But let's just go with that narrative that you have $50 of profit when all is said and done. You know, what about payroll tax? What about, like we said, a technician? What about benefits for a technician? What about sick pay for a technician? You know, that rolls into benefits, obviously. But what about advertising cost? What about, you know, continual training costs? What about retirement? What about, like we said, not just the technician? What about the salesman? What about HR? What about the office? You know, the office team, you know, the whatever you want to call them, like CSRs, right? Customer service representatives. What about you as the owner, right? Like, by the time you break all that money up, dude, you're negative. Like, you're busted at 69, 79, hell, even 89 a quarter. You know, 89, 99 a quarter should be your, you know, your bare minimum. Now, like we said, if you're going with like a monthly service, the numbers get all crazy, to say the least, but which is why, of course, we try to stay away from monthly as much as possible. But you know, people just don't do the math, which is why at the end of the day, what is it, like 3 out of 5 businesses won't be in business after, what is it, like 5 years or less. Over 60% of businesses that do make it either break even or lose money every year. And there's a reason at the end of the day that only about 2% actually make it to the top, which is why it's called the 2%, the 1%ers, right? So, I cannot stress enough, regardless of what your goal is, just do the math. Like, figure out what your goal is and then just do the math from there and do the true math. Like, don't think about the obvious shit. Think about, like I said, even if you're going to be a one man show, think about, you know, I want nice equipment. I got to factor in fixing that equipment. I got to factor in fixing the repairs on the truck. I got to factor in my retirement someday because I'm sorry, guys, if you're going to be a one man show, you're only going to get a 1 to maybe 2x at the very most in terms of a return on your business, in terms of an evaluation standpoint. Like 1 to, sounds like 1.5 to be honest, x in terms of the EBITDA. Your business will not be your retirement vehicle. Let's just put it that way. Now, of course, if you're going to build it into a 7-figure, even upper six to 7, 8, or even maybe 9 in some of your all's cases, business, then obviously at that point that is a retirement vehicle. But if you're planning on being a one-man show or even a 2 or 3-man show, you got to start thinking about retirement. Your insurance, because my God, health insurance is expensive out here for solopreneurs, right? I'll tell you, I don't have health insurance right now. I'm like, hey, if I take care of my shit in terms of my body, of course I can't control everything. Like, there's a reason why insurance is there. Like, you don't know everything, right? But I'm not doing insurance this year. I'll probably pick it up next year, but I'm like, I'm pretty damn healthy right now. God willing, thank God. God's blessed me with great health for the most part. I'm still young, so, the price of insurance is out of control, which that's a whole nother subject that goes back to our video from earlier this week. But just for the love of God, do the math. Because and don't just do the math once, do the math once a year. Because inflation will sneak up on you and put you out of business quicker than anything. There's been so many businesses, not just in our industry, but all around the country, sink because, they just didn't take inflation seriously. They didn't do the math. Especially if you have a high standard of service. I'm not reducing quality to me. Exactly. Yeah, and that's why we've even gotten a lot of commercial accounts because, they'll tell me, we were only paying like $50 a quarter. And I'm like, and you got $50 a quarter results. You want me, I'm coming in every single month because you got German roaches. They keep shutting you down for it. It's going to cost $200 just to get started. And, once we get this under control, it's going to be $95 a month, $85, $95 a month going forward. Yes, you're paying more, but hey, how much more do you lose whenever, the whatever you call them, the health inspectors come in and shut you down for a whole week, So yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing, figuring out your target clientele. Man, we're back to answering questions. I forgot I had a post where I was asking you guys if you all had any video ideas. And they could have even been questions as well, I guess. Nolan's Nest actually said, this was actually on a video we did recently. He said, really appreciate all the videos. Starting a company up in Maine. Ramon's Pest Services. Are you ever available for a chat or Zoom call? Would love to pick your brain. Of course, a lot of you guys, I say a lot, not literally a lot, but multiple of you guys have asked this before. Of course, we do have our website, griffinbthomas.com. If you ever do, for, whatever reason, maybe if you need like consulting type of services outside of, our live streams that we do. I always stress to everybody, you don't need to pay me for consultation services. Just hop in these live streams and you can literally pretty much get free consulting for usually, how long do we usually do these streams? Usually a minimum 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even an hour and a half. We've had some go 2 or 3 hours. Now tonight we're not going that long because my throat is itching tonight, but Yeah, I mean, if for whatever reason, you're needing consulting service, you want help on your Google ads, whatever the case may be, griffinbthomas.com. Link is in my LinkTree, I believe, as well. You can reach out there, or of course, you can email me, whatever the case may be, and we can like set it up that way as well. Figure out, what your needs are in terms of time and service, if you need any type of service, whatever the case may be. Which actually kind of, let me make sure there wasn't any questions there, because I would say that actually leads us into a good transition about Google Ads and stuff. Let's see. Oh, JVJ, if you're still in here, you actually said termite estimate pricing, how you measure your linear feet and what product you use to come out with a price. So what we use is Termidor HE. I'm assuming you're talking about liquid treatments. We use Termidor HE pretty much all the time, just because it saves you so much time only having to do the 2 gallons per every, 10 linear square feet. Been a while since I've done a termite treatment. When you're using SC, you have to use 4. So, I mean, you're doubling the amount of liquid you need, hence doubling the amount of time that it takes. So we use Termidor HE, and yeah, I mean, we just take a measuring wheel. There's even apps now I've seen that, somehow you can make it even quicker, but we just use a little measuring wheel. Got it from Harbor Freight for like $20 or something, because man, some of these measuring wheels at Home Depot are like fucking $80 now. I'm like, that's stupid for a measuring wheel. No. But yeah, just a little standard measuring wheel, and just take and trying to get up as close to the foundation as you can. Obviously, sometimes there's bushes and crap in the way where you just can't. And from there, you just kind of get down with it in terms of, make sure that your eye is like level with that foundation, so you can at least be very close in terms of your measurement. And yeah, that's pretty much how we do it. Of course, when we are quoting it, when we measure that out, we go based on the entire linear footage. We don't cut out the areas that aren't being treated, like the garage, that space that was a 16 foot usually, that like a garage takes up, or the front patio, like, because the whole house is included in the warranty, we're quoting that entire linear footage, if that makes sense. So from there, I'm probably going to have to update my pricing this year, but our rule of thumb has generally been, depending on, again, lots of variables, our pricing is usually around $6 to $9 per linear foot. The smaller the job, the higher the cost per linear foot. If we're doing just a spot treatment, because, it's a home that's, for sale, and, they just happen to find termites and they're just trying to, do what they got to do type of situation, then our bare minimum in terms of that type of situation is $395 plus tax. That's like our bare minimum. That's usually something that's like, probably like 50 linear feet or less, maybe, just off the top of my head, maybe even less, probably like 30 to 40 linear feet or less. But yeah, $395 is kind of like that bare minimum, and spot treatments, of course, do not come with any type of warranty whatsoever. Notice the terminology I'm using. Spot treatment. Some people will say, oh, you're using the definition of spot treatment wrong. Kiss my ass, because a lot of you all use full treatment wrong. You're not doing a full treatment unless if it's a pre-treatment, technically. Partial treatments are what we all technically do. I just like to say spot treatment in terms of if I'm not doing the quote-unquote full perimeter, I guess, of the foundation, I call that verbally a spot treatment. And then partial treatment is, of course, anything that is a post-construction treatment per the chemical label. So yeah, that's I had to put that in there, because sometimes I'll get comments from people out of the blue, people that I know aren't following. They'll be like, oh, the label this, the label that, oh, the that. I'm like, dude, this is YouTube, man. This isn't freaking the Department of Agriculture learning or anything like that, right? But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up some questions. I'll give you guys some inside scoop on some things that we got going on. Just want to make sure everything is up and going. And of course, if you guys do happen to have any questions as we got like 10 of you in here right now. It's cool. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream too. I see we got like 4 likes so far. If you are enjoying the stream, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. It helps other people, of course, find the channel, find the streams, all that type of stuff. So yeah, if you're getting any good content, any good info out of this, smash that thumbs up. What I've been working on virtually all afternoon, because I finally had some time to do so, is figuring out why in the hell are we not showing any conversions when I know for a fact. I mean, I literally just got a phone call. If I go into my call rail here, we literally just had a call earlier today from, and this is just one campaign, one ad group that is specifically today. And for whatever reason, even when we tried to manually import of our conversions, it's showing our last conversion was like January 10th. So obviously that is skewing our numbers drastically. Those of you that are in Discord know that I mentioned that our true cost per conversion right now, it is still kind of high in my opinion. It's around $135, $137 per conversion, you know, when I go in and like calculate it myself based on, you know, the actual data that we do have available. But yeah, I've been like, because here's the thing is whenever you're doing this in CallRail, you have an option to do a manual conversion import. And what that means is whenever you go in here, let's see, so you go into your settings in CallRail. Of course, you have your integrations. Of course, you have to have your Google Ads integration set up, your JavaScript set up. Otherwise, none of this will work in the first place. But you'll go in here to the Google Ads one. And of course, as you can see, we have everything set up that we need to, you know, send calls as conversions, separate conversions based on first-time callers and repeat callers. Send the form submissions as well, like for our landing pages. And then send call values, because of course with CallRail you can go in there and say that lead sucked or thumbs up, that lead was good. It'll send that information to Google, as well as what your value in terms of, you know, this is worth like a $10 lead, $25 lead, whatever you, or what a lot of people do too is, okay, this was a $500 contract, so they'll put in, you know, $500 is what this conversion was worth, or, you know, that's for you to decide more than anything. It's not a big deal at the end of the day. But yeah, you get all that set up, of course. Like we said, you know, you got it all connected. You can even switch the accounts you're using. Of course, you know, active means it's good. And then from here, what you would do is, if you want to manually import this, because a lot of people, obviously, you fire up your Google Ads, if you're like me at least, like, you know, you're so excited to get the marketing going, right? You start the Google Ads, you probably have a good amount of conversions before you even set anything up with CallRail. Or maybe you used another software before CallRail, whatever the case may be, and you need to import these conversions to Google Ads because it's not showing up on your Google Ads. So you download this file, it sends it to your email like you did here for us. And then you just download the spreadsheet. You're going to need to export that spreadsheet to Google Sheets specifically, and it'll look something like this. Now look at the issue here. It did not export recent data. It only exported through the 7th of January. So, I mean, shout out to Google for at least picking up on a conversion on the 10th. But we have no other data since January 10th. And also what got me looking at that in the first place was because when we were going into our conversions, when I scrolled down to the bottom here, look at that, inactive. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So that was when I started like looking into everything. You can see all these different CallRail tabs I have pulled up here. I mean, I was just, you know, so many things that, you know, you got to do. And ultimately, what I kind of found to be a, dare I say, solution, knock on wood, is you actually need to go into your integrations, and you can go ahead and leave the Google Ads integration active, but you need to get your Google Analytics integration up and going, and then also go in to your admin settings of Google Analytics. Y'all getting a lot of free game right now. So hopefully, like I said, smash that thumbs up button, because man, this, like I said, I've been working on this all damn day. Go down here into data streams, and then of course, your website, and then what you'll see here is it says measurement protocol API secrets. You click on that, and then you can see we have one set up for CallRail here. So you've essentially connect CallRail in your Google Analytics. Now, I'm trying to think. So much data, so much stuff that even I've like absorbed and learned today. I'm trying to regurgitate it all back to you guys without like missing steps and stuff like that. By doing that, go over here. How do I do that? Go into Google Analytics. Right, there you go. So what you would do, so yeah, I almost skipped a step. So this wouldn't be here in the beginning, right? This would be blank. Nothing would be here. You go into here and hit create, and then you name it whatever you want to name it. I said CallRail, and then boom, it enters in your secret value. That way you can copy and paste that into your, where the hell was I at? There we go. Into your CallRail account. And then looky here, same type of data is going to start going into Google Analytics, right? So, first time, in terms of conversions, send first time calls and repeat calls as separate custom event types. Of course, we got the SMS, which we don't really get any of, but SMS, and then of course your forms as well. So then you go back over here to Google Analytics once more, or no, not Google Analytics. Go over here to Google Ads. Sorry about that. You'll go into Tools and Settings once more. You'll go into, where is it at? Linked Accounts. Once it loads up here, make sure that, of course, your Google Analytics is linked up. And you can go in here, of course, and like manage that. And then obviously you want to make sure that obviously it's linked up, that you do have your right one, because we had a different one. Someone that I'm not going to call out did that. But you got your GA4 specifically, not the UA, because that's going away in July. You need specifically, of course, one says GA4. It says linked, app and web metrics activated. If that's not activated, it'll say activate right here. You just activate that. Then that is good to go. I feel like there's one more thing here. Is it data collection maybe? Yeah, you want to go in here to data collection, make sure that's checked off. You also want to make sure that that's checked off, and of course you have to acknowledge this before you can even really do anything right here. And then I think this also is not originally, actually maybe it may be already checked off, but if it's not for you for some reason, make sure that's checked off. And then of course, like I mentioned to you guys, if you haven't already, if you're starting your business brand new this year, or you have within the last few months, and you fired up your Google Analytics, you don't need to worry about this anyways. You're automatically on the GA4. But if you're someone like me who has started your business and specifically your website within, like anything over about a year ago, roughly, then, or even less, I guess like 6 to 12 months ago, then you're going to need to make sure that everything is updated to GA4. And I am still working on this, because Google Analytics is way more complicated than any of the others. You can see here the conversion thing is not showing anything. That's the next step of shit that I gotta get figured out. But yeah, I mean, pretty much what I am getting to in terms of what I'm doing to kind of bypass the whole you know, manually uploading, you know, your conversions and all that BS, is pretty much link it up to where, okay, CallRail is linked to Google Analytics, Analytics linked to Google Ads, so they'll all be talking to each other. So when a call comes in or a form has been submitted, CallRail will send that data into Google Analytics and be like, hey, you know, this came from, you know, this ad. It was a first time phone call or a repeat, or a form was captured. This was the landing page it came from, you know, all that different data, right? And Google Analytics will speak to Google Ads and be like, hey, this is a conversion for this ad at this time, you know, just pretty much relaying everything. Similar to, like, you know, if you set up a Zapier Zap, right? Whenever you connect, like, say, GorillaDesk to CallRail, you know, they're talking to each other, right? Same type of concept, just without setting up things in Zapier, I guess, or Zapier, however you pronounce it, if that makes sense. So it is it's a process, let me tell y'all. Let me see if y'all got any questions about that. Go get your money, Fruit Loops. How's it going, Karate Chick? Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, because like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't get all that stuff set up, oh, what just happened? 24 conversions. But it's still not showing any of our conversions. Let me do something. Why is it not 1, 6, 9, 13, 15, 18, 22, 23. Yeah, still not showing any of our recent conversions. So it did increase. I don't know what even happened there to where it increased our convert. Let's go back into conversions. I wonder too if it's just taking some time for it to all upload. Let me see. First time phone call. Yeah, this stuff is just, I cannot wait to have this stuff set up. Because that's the thing, is it sounds like once you get that set up, specifically what I was talking about with how I was referring to Google Ads or CallRail telling Google Ad or Google Analytics, and then Google Analytics telling Google Ads. Once you get that set up, it's all smooth sailing from there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what just happened where it was showing. What was it showing before? Like 16 conversions? Now it's showing 24, but it's still not showing. It's missing at least 7 that I'm aware of. 7 conversions currently. Either way, I mean, like I said, we're getting it figured out. It's just, my God. I'll keep you all updated about that side of it for sure. And once I do, I'll upload an actual, like, almost kind of like a step-by-step tutorial. I've kind of walked you all through a good majority of it, but I'll, like I said, kind of format a step-by-step kind of like tutorial of if you're going to use CallRail specifically, which I definitely suggest. I mean, CallRail has so much good, like, information in there about, you know, just where your calls and form submissions and this and that and the other are coming from. Like, let me see if I can show you guys just an example here. Which is a call that I missed, believe it or not. Let's see. I was trying to see. There's supposed to be a way that it'll tell you. That's annoying. It's supposed to give you all of the details, but yeah, whatever. Let me see if there's any questions or anything. What are we showing here? Oh, you just showing the last like 6 days. Come on now. Let's go with this year. This year been kind of slow so far. I say that, and our sales are still up 11% year over year. I just checked last night. Not a bad start. Sales up 11%, but of course our goal for the year is for a double. What we got so far? What is this? 61. So yeah, I mean, we're not doing bad so far this year. 61 calls from January 1st through February 24th. That's just calls specifically. What about, there we go, form submissions. I know we've had 31. It does not feel like we've had 31. I think some of them are, yeah, a lot of these are me. Okay, I was like, we've not had that many form submissions. Yeah, a lot of it is me doing the tests on our landing pages and things of that nature. Yeah, see here how like this one here, it will, there we go. That's a great example. It will give us all of the details. At least it's supposed to. Yeah, so this was the search term that he used. Rat exterminator. There we go. That's what I was trying to show you guys. And how do you do that, by the way? I almost didn't even show you guys that. Let's go up in here. So what we do to get that set up is go into Google Ads, go into the support article section, do first pull this up. Oop, not tools and settings. Settings, campaign settings. Go columns. We don't need to do it like that. Do it this way. Campaign settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up what's called a tracking template. And what you do for that is you go down here to additional settings, URL options, and then this tracking template right here, you insert this in here and it will tell CallRail, you know, what keyword, what device, what network, like it'll send CallRail all this different information. That way you can know exactly, after of course you get enough data, right? You can't just have like 1 or 2 leads and be like, oh, this is where I need to put all my money, right? Once you get enough data that shows, oh, okay, most of our leads are coming from cell phones, or maybe they're coming from, you know, this specific keyword when we thought this keyword was going to perform the best. Like, it allows you to make better decisions with your campaign. So just to reiterate, there's 2 ways that you can get that specific. It's the same for everybody. Where'd it go? There we go. URL up. It's the same for everybody. Like I said, this is what it is right here. So if you want to, I'll start at the beginning. And if you all want to take a screenshot of it and save that for whenever you're setting up your own tracking template. Now I'll go to the next part. You'll be able to set that up on your own. And we'll get the rest. And another way you guys can do it as well, if we go over here to that article, is, let's see, tracking. optimized tracking template. So there it is right here. So you just take and copy that entire thing right there and paste it into that section. What I'll do, so you guys don't have to go through and copy that, like find that article, is I'll go in here real quick, help you all out. I'll post that in the chat and I'll pin it. That way, if you guys want to actually take and just like copy and, you know, paste that link into like your notes or whatever the case may be, that way, for those of you specifically that, you know, use CallRail, want to have all of that data when it comes to, you know, your Google ads and things of that nature, that's going to help you big time. I mean, like we said, when added to your final URLs, it will tell you some of the following information. It'll tell you the following information of someone's click, which campaign it came from, which ad group it came from, the creative, meaning the specific ad within the ad group, if that makes sense. The match type, was it exact match keyword, broad match, phrase match, like which keyword was it, which network they were on, the device, and then of course the specific keyword. So you'll get a lot of good valuable information from there. And that's one thing I will say about CallRail. Their you know, help center has a lot of good articles that'll kind of, and even videos throughout them as well, that will walk you through kind of step by step on how to set something up, fix an issue you may be having, whatever the case may be. That's why you know, the video that you guys will see this upcoming week about, you know, I was discussing in that, it's just like a 6 or 7 minute video, just, you know, diving into this issue that we're having with CallRail's integration with Google Ads. I got a feeling it's not CallRail's fault at all. I think Google is always, excuse my language, but finger fucking with Google Ads. They're always doing these stupid ass updates to it that aren't even necessary. And chances are they broke something that, you know, when it comes to the API and all that type of coding stuff, it probably caused CallRail's integration to not work with it, and either anymore or at least very frequently. Because I actually found another YouTuber, which shout out to this guy, by the way. I'm gonna shout him out because he was the one that actually brought all this to my attention. I was like, damn, I just thought I was doing something wrong the whole time. And he called out the fact that where do I go? Where's history? Where is he? Where did he go? This dude right here. Corky dude, but man, I think it was this video right here. I'm gonna share it. Because man, he gave some good, very good insight on, right? Yeah, it was that video. Yeah. Give him his props, because yeah, I mean, I was like banging my head against my desk just going, what is going on? Like, why is this stuff not working right? And yeah, he was talking about just how for a couple months now, apparently, that integration has been kind of broken. It's not working properly, and it's causing people a lot of issues with their conversion tracking. And he was the one that got me on the idea of getting CallRail, Google Analytics, and Google Ads to communicate. That way, you know, once you get it all set up properly, you don't have to worry about the integration BS anymore. Like, they're constantly talking to one another, and yeah, it just makes it where you're finally able to focus on what you need to be focusing on, which is where your ad money needs to be going at the end of the day. So if we don't have any other questions or anything, we'll probably go ahead and start wrapping this up. I don't even know how long we've been on. Oh, it's already almost been an hour and a half. Ooh. Yeah. If we don't have any, I'll stay on for another minute or so. If you have any last minute questions or anything, I don't know how many of you, we got about 4 or 5 of you in here right now. If any of y'all have any last second questions or anything, don't hesitate to just let me know real quick. Like I said, we're in the process of slowly getting this stuff figured out in terms of getting our conversion tracking all set up. Let's see if anything pops up here. I want to do, oh, there we go. We're not, yeah, all. Cost per conversion. There you go, January 10th. And that shows a whole lot of nothing. So, yeah, I mean, our cost per conversion might even be way less than what I'm even projecting, because this is showing $98, where my estimates were like 137 based on the math I was running. And if we're missing, like I said, let's just lowball it and say 6. Say we're at 26 conversions instead of 20. Let's see, divided by 1,970 divided by 26. Oops. 1,970 divided by 26. Yeah, that'd actually be only about $75, $76 per conversion, which would make me feel a lot better about where we're going with this ad, because at first I was kind of, like I said, in the dark, because as a lot of you guys who've been watching have seen, none of our conversions were really showing up. So the only way I would really know is by just kind of keeping a mental note, or if I dove deep into my CallRail analytics and, you know, listened to the calls, looked at the forms filled out, things of that nature, I could kind of add up and do some rough math on what I thought we were paying per conversion. But apparently it's looking like it's going to be better than what I was even thinking. So, like I said, like always, I'll keep you guys posted for sure. Wanted to take a look real quick, see if we had any last second questions or anything. No questions or nothing. So yeah, like I said, I mean, as always, I hope you guys took some valuable information from this. Hopefully, like I said, the whole point of all these streams, videos, everything that I do on this channel, it's just to, you know, like I tell you guys, I mean, just with the CallRail thing today, I spent probably 6 to 8 hours today figuring out all this information that I just gave you guys in about 20 minutes roughly, we'll call it. So if I can save you guys 8 hours here, 8 hours here, 8 hours here, like I said, it can literally save you guys months or even years off of, you know, just trial, error, trial, error, trial, error. Like, not to mention, of course, like I mentioned, all the time that it goes into research and figuring shit out at the end of the day. That's the whole point of doing what I do. And that's just what we're going to keep on doing over here. So hopefully you guys do appreciate it. Like I said, if you haven't already, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have any questions and you're seeing this either at the end of the stream and you're going to go back and watch it, or if you're watching it once it goes from a stream to a video and you have any questions, like I always say, don't hesitate to drop them down in the comments down below, or in our Discord group chat, which is totally free to join. Like I said, link for that is in our description box. Well, it's specifically my LinkTree. Any of the links that I mention are always in my LinkTree, which is in the description box of every video. And yeah, I mean, all I can ask for you guys is, if you think this video would help anybody, share it with somebody, share it in a group on Facebook, whatever the case may be. We're just trying to grow this channel to just help, like I said, anyone that's looking to start a, not even just pest control business, but service business in general, save so much time, money, headaches, all that good stuff. That's what we're all about here at the end of the day. So if you think anybody could benefit from the channel, do me a favor. I don't advertise my content or anything like that. So we grow organically. So if you think anyone would benefit from this content, do me a favor, share either this stream or another short or a video, whatever the case may be. Share it with people, spread the word. I appreciate you guys, love you guys, and I will see you in the video coming out here in a couple days.